Finally, in the fourth week of the season, the St. Louis Battlehawks will have a home game in XFL 3.0. The Battlehawks wrapped up their season opening road trip with a 2-1 record, suffering their first loss at the hands of the undefeated DC Defenders 34-28. It was the highest scoring game in the XFL this season so far. It was a great game, but man, did it have an ugly ending. Fights leading to Battlehawks running back Brian Hill receiving an ejection. DC linebacker Francis Bernard, DCO lineman Rod Taylor, they were ejected from the game. All this happened really late. So it was a great game, but an ugly ending. But we're going to go ahead and look ahead now to the Battlehawks home opener. They will host the Arlington Renegades, who won a slugfest over the Orlando Guardians 10-9 to move to 2-1 on the season, with the Guardians falling to 0-3, joining Las Vegas as the only other winless team in the league. And with that, let's bring in Pat Rifino. He covers the Battlehawks for XFL News Hub. You can follow him on Twitter at NFLQB Talk, and also check out his YouTube channel. It's Analyze and Educate 9775. I'll put all the links in there for you in the description. And we're talking about the St. Louis Battlehawks finally 4 weeks into this thing, Pat. They finally get this season opener, and have a feeling that we've seen some really good crowds in, like, you know, in San Antonio and so forth. But I think we're going to see a record crowd here for this season coming up. What do you think?
I mean, they're opening up that third level of the dome, and I'm going to throw an exclusive out here. I talked to Brian Stoll as a part of the media press conference, whatever we want to call it, with Coach Beck at 3, and they're doing student tickets for $15 in the 300 level. So, I mean, I don't think that's going to bring in tens of thousands of more people, but I do think it's going to bring like 500 more people. And I was talking to Will Freeman and Josh Bryce earlier today, and they were saying that there's less than like 400 tickets available at the 300 level. So right. if we don't crack the 400 level this week,
yep,
I think we definitely do in week 5.
I was looking at on Monday, checking out StubHub and all these, and Ticketmaster and all these, and that's the one. It's like these are going fast, and you know, taking nothing away from, you know, what we saw on this weekend, but nevertheless, you know, it would be nice if the Battlehawks came in at 3-0, but I don't think that's going to dampen any kind of spirits as they come in here and take on the Arlington Renegades. What is the vibe you think around this team? You know, you've talked to them, you've talked to the people close to them. What is the vibe as they get ready to finally 4 weeks in here have that first home game?
I mean, I personally think they could have been 0-3, and we're still putting out 20,000 people in the seats. I mean, 2-1, 3 games on the road. The team's been together, at this point, 7 weeks, 8 weeks. Add in a snow week and everything like that. It doesn't get much better than that, personally. I mean, even with this defeat that we had, we were on the doorstep from easily being 3-0. And then just to see the nonstop fight in this team, some things started clicking on special teams as well with Darius Shepard. I think he had 191 yards or something like that just with his kick returns. I mean, personally on that 1 yard line play, if I was the defenders, I would have just took a knee, or like I would have said, "Hey, my defense is better than your offense. Let's go, killer," and type thing. Because Shepard had a hamstring injury, so like,
right.
But that goes into just like the overall coaching and whatnot. 4th down, you're going to intercept the ball on the 1. Okay, bet. Thank you. Essentially it was like we caught, the stats get altered a little bit, but it was like we caught the ball at the 1, couldn't get in on the 1 yard line, and then bam, AJ throws a quick, slant to Steven Mitchell, I think, and makes that game a little bit more interesting than it needed to be.
It was an interesting game, and you mentioned AJ McCarron there. I still contend, I thought before the season he would be the best quarterback in the XFL. Your thoughts about that, and where does he fit in the echelon of quarterbacks in the XFL this year so far?
Originally, when I ranked him in my preseason rankings, and my rankings did get altered a bit because of Willis and Paxton leaving and coming, and then Brett coming in. But when I got to my more brass tacks, when I started putting my videos out, I had him at number 3. My last 2 weeks, I had him at number 1. This week, I think I'm going to drop him down to 3. I'm pushing Silvers up, probably the 1, and Danucci, who's been at that 4 spot, is going to go to number 2. But I mean, you got a top 3 quarterback in this league, and the only reason why he was bumped down is because of the fumble and the interception, because my grade isn't even negating his first interception, because it was a good thrown ball and it's probably a 9-yard gain if the receiver stays up when he slipped instead. So, I mean, he's definitely been not only like I hate to use this word intangible because it's so overused, but this guy's intangibles have been above reproach, if I'm using that term correctly. And just to see him mentor these young receivers, because you do have Aitman, you do have Butler, and you do have Shepard who have NFL time. But outside of even Prohl, whose only other experience is XFL and then training camp body kind of thing, a lot of these guys are just dudes off the no, that's rude. Or just guys with limited NFL experience.
No, that's fair.
In there.
That's fair. Yeah. And I think, one of the things that Anthony Becht has said about AJ McCarron was that he is his leadership skills. And Pat, that speaks to what you're talking about, his intangibles. And when you look at AJ McCarron's story, he is, I'm sure he would love another shot at the NFL, but he's there because his kids wanted him to play. And so he comes in there with it's not that he doesn't care, but he's got like maybe not the weight of the world on his shoulders as a quarterback in this league. Would you agree with that? That kind of speaks to his intangibles and why he's such a strong leader?
I think so. I think you're right on track with that statement. I'm very curious to see, because he worked out for 2 NFL teams that I can think off the top of my head. I know the 49ers were one of them, and they ended up signing after Kurt Benkert got released. Well, I think both times when Kurt Benkert signed, he was a part of a bunch of workouts. It was him, Glennon, and then they signed Jacob Eason afterwards. I'm very curious to see if that was a team that offered him. And you got to think, how would the NFL script be written differently? Like if Jimmy Garoppolo goes down, are you going to start Brock Purdy over AJ McCarron? I mean, we all saw what Purdy did, but I wonder if that was the team that wanted to bring him in and whatnot. And maybe Carolina, I think he worked out for as well, or Miami wanted him as that late 2-week signing because they ended up signing Glennon. But I mean, you got a guy like AJ. He's made, I think, almost $20 million in the NFL. He's got a degree from Alabama. I'm sure he's done other things, that boasts his financial standing. Something I'm writing for the Markcast right now is, does AJ actually want to go to the NFL, or is he good? Like, does he just want to play football for 4 months? Like,
right.
There's a coach on the Arlington Renegades, Jonathan Heimbach, and he's been in the CFL, USFL, won an XFL championship. I mean, that guy is kind of just like doing his own thing. He's like, he works for 4 months and then does his side jobs and whatnot for the rest of the season. And it's like, do you really want to be an NFL coach? Like, I don't know what assistants make. I'd like to believe it's, incentive laced 6 figures,
right?
Which, sounds a lot better before you're living in San Francisco. But I mean, I'm curious to see what AJ does. And I personally think the XFL is around for the next 5 years. Well, under 5 years with their funding. So, I mean, could we see AJ like kind of ride off into the sunset for the next 5 years in the XFL? It'd be nice for continuity's sake.
I think, yeah, that would be great, because I think he's already just in 3 weeks here. A lot of people are starting to see like what kind of quarterback he is. He has a good story. Good stories always sell, in any kind of these other leagues. Let's look at the matchup here about in this home opener. You're going to have an Arlington team that really had a struggle against Orlando, kind of surprising there. What do you see as these two teams match up in what will be a raucous crowd there in St. Louis this weekend?
Man, a week ago, I'd be sweating a little bit more, even if they had Drew Plitt. But I mean, Kyle. So I looked at that game pretty decently. I hate to admit this; it wasn't the most exciting game. I'm a big
10-9 wasn't that exciting?
Yeah. Well, I'm a big Paxton Lynch homer, or like loyalist, apologist, whatever you want to go at an IST.
Apologist might work.
Yeah, but I'm a big Paxton Lynch guy, so like I'm very in tune to him. But also, Slaughter, that locker room was about ready for him, and he's 1-0 in the XFL. He's got a winning record as a spring quarterback through his 10th touchdown of his spring quarterback career. So we're seeing this guy do what Plitt didn't do, and it seemed like Kyle was taking the check down a lot more and he was not pushing the ball down as much as Plitt was, because I think Plitt was like 0 for 10 or something goofy like that on those passes of 10 yards or more. So at sometimes it kind of looked like Kyle, in my opinion, and I'm not a coach, so I'm a failed coach. But Kyle looked to Canella or that first read and then be like, okay, check down. Mm-hmm. And that's why you saw that like 15 of 23 for 130 yards. Like, it's a respectable stat line in the completion side, but it's like, okay, let me take this 2-yard gain. Let's make this third and manageable a little bit more. While Plitt would just be like, okay, I'm just going to air it out a little bit. Kyle didn't look overmatched, in my opinion, but he also didn't look extremely comfortable at times. And Andrew Murray was on the Marcast today, and he talked about it extensively of like, it appeared that Murray was, or not Murray, that it didn't really provide the spark, and that Jonathan Hayes might be a better leader of men than offensive coordinator.
He was a St. Louis Battlehawks coach there, head coach back in 2020 before it kind of folded under COVID and everything. It should be interesting to see what happens here. Pat Rifino, you can read his work at, well, how many places? You're all over the place. XFL News Hub, CFL News Hub, USFL News Hub. I think you might write for Pornhub. I don't know. You write for them all.
Yeah, all the hubs.
All the hubs.
and on Marcast. And
Marcast, yes, absolutely.
Yeah, help with Sam Shady over there every once in a while. So
very cool. We're all we're all YouTube friends on here, and you have your own YouTube channel as well. I encourage people to check that out. Pat Rifino, appreciate your time and looking forward to keeping up with all your work throughout the year, and really looking forward to this weekend's St. Louis home opener finally. Thank you, Pat.
Thank you, John.